Good morning. The Senate Finance Committee is in session and we're going on. We do have a quorum. Everybody knew the meeting was scheduled, so we'll move forward. All right. All right, David.
We'll let Nathan go first.
Okay, Nathan.
So the first bill is one that's not on the printed list but is posted online, and that's Senate Bill 295. So as amended and reflected in the reprint before you, Senate Bill 295 modifies the requirements for Medicaid reimbursement to an emergency service transporter for services provided in response to a 911 call. So reimbursement must be provided for, one, medical services provided to a Medicaid recipient in response to a 911 call in situations where or when the recipient is not transported to a facility, and for mobile integrated health services or MIH services. Reimbursement for MIH services must be specified in regulations and at least $100 per interaction. Beginning in fiscal 2023, MDH must increase the amount of reimbursement by $25 each fiscal year until a reimbursement rate of at least $300 is reached for both transportation and medical services and the mobile integrated health services. MDH must study the adequacy of the rate of reimbursement for MIH services and report its findings and recommendations by November 1, 2024. The definition of emergency service transporter is expanded to include a commercial ambulance service, and the bill takes effect July 1 of this year and terminates after 3 years. So the amendments require MDH to conduct the rate adequacy study in coordination with the Maryland Institute for Emergency Medical Services Systems. Further requires MIMS to study the emergency and non-emergency interfacility transport system and provide a specified report, and alters the effective date of the bill and sunsets the provisions after June 30, 2025.
Thank you. Is there any, all right, we got a motion. Can we get a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Senator Augustine.
Does this change the fiscal note on this, or is it still the same cost?
The fiscal cost is still the same, but it sunsets after 3 years. And I'm noticing one thing, when communications between Finance and B&T called for a study of the rates under the bill, and there would be one additional small change to Section 2, which, as shown in the reprint, says to for MDH to study the adequacy of the mobile integrated health services rate, but it would actually apply to, the study would apply to all of the rates under this section. So the increased rate, as well as the creation of the rate for mobile integrated health services, would be under the study.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we got the motion and the second. Are you ready? All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, so that's unanimous.
Pull it up again also.
Yeah.
So the next bill, it's a late addition. It's Senate Bill 514. This is the Transportation Investment Program, MARC Rail Service, Maryland Regional Rail Transformation Act bill. This is the bill that would require MTA to establish individual investment programs to advance the MARC Cornerstone Plan and other MARC improvements by providing incremental enhancements for the Brunswick Line, Camden Line, Penn Line, new regional service between Perryville, Maryland, and Newark, Delaware, new regional run-through rail service to Alexandria, Virginia, and extending the Brunswick Line to better serve Western Maryland. There's a reprint that shows some amendments that Senator Bidle is offering. These amendments would align with what the House has done with the House Cross file. One amendment on page 2 of the reprint just specifies that the incremental enhancement for the Brunswick line would include a third track between Rockville and Germantown to better serve Western Maryland and existing communities served by the line. If you go down to the bottom of page 2 of the reprint, the bill specifies some detail for each investment program required. They must begin in fiscal year 2023. You can read some of the elements here, such as identify future operating scenarios that it can improve service, including new midday, weekend, evening, through running and bi-directional service. Develop concept level improvement plans to enhance service over time. And identify a 5-year priority set of capital projects and activities to implement the improvements to be funded in the CTP. Down below in subsection C on page 3, there's some specific requirements for fiscal year 2023. And then if you go to page 4 of the reprint, one of those specific requirements in the bill was introduced would require completion of a 30% of the design for the third track between Rockville and Germantown. The amendments strike this. I think this is one of the more costly elements in the bill, so that would reduce the required anticipated capital expenditures for this. And then below, there's some uncodified language that requires MTA to conduct a cornerstone plan implementation study. It has to include total expected cost to implement the MARC Cornerstone plan, the Maryland-Virginia run-through rail service, the Maryland-Delaware through-running rail service, and Western Maryland MARC extension programs, as well as the total expected cost of the first 5-year capital program for the MARC lines. On page 5 of there's some additional elements to the study that are listed on the top of page 5. MTA has to consult with regional private entities, including leading employers, labor representatives, transit rider advisory committees, and regional planning boards in developing this study. And then the House added some uncodified language that would establish a transportation trust fund work group that consists of legislative members, the Secretary of Transportation, other representatives, and the Department of Legislative Services would staff it and would examine certain elements, the current state of funding sources and structure of the Transportation Trust Fund, threats and challenges to existing funding sources, short and long-term multimodal infrastructure construction maintenance funding needs for all regions of the state, how to ensure that the Transportation Trust Fund and not other fund sources supports the state's infrastructure needs and options for sustainable long-term revenue sources for transportation. It has to look at how to position the state to benefit from the federal infrastructure bill, how to ensure that the state's P3 law provides adequate oversight, and then potential challenges to policies and procedures, including legislation that may be needed to implement any recommendations. And this report that it submit would be done by December 2022.
Okay. All right, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Madam Chair, I just want to ask you a question. The extension of the Brunswick line, how far up is that going? Does it go? Are they talking about taking it all the way up to Garrett County?
I think that the extension would go to Cumberland, but
Cumberland.
I can check and see if it's supposed to go beyond Cumberland.
No, with Cumberland. Yeah.
Okay. Any
Yeah.
further questions? If not, if you're ready for the, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, that's unanimous. Okay.
Okay, back to the actual list. The first bill on the list is Senate Bill 259. This is a prevailing wage bill. What the bill does is it defines, under the definition of construction project, to include services provided under a mechanical systems service contract, which are then further defined to include HVAC, refrigerator systems, plumbing systems, electrical systems, and elevator systems. So these would all be part of a construction project, which is what is part of a public work project. for the purposes of prevailing wage. So these service contracts would now be subject to the prevailing wage requirement. And if it goes on further to apply a separate threshold for these service contracts, which is currently $2,500 as opposed to $250,000 for a project to be included as a prevailing wage contract, or as a prevailing wage job. That's what the bill does. And the House has passed a bill that's on its way over here, or might be already here. It's already here.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Not
No,
ready?
Rudy's got to.
Yeah, Senator Feldman.
Just real quickly, I got it, and I know I just walked in here, but that's because I was preparing. So, how low are we going with this? I'm trying to find the reprint, I don't see it.
Well, there's no reprint, there's no amendment.
There's no amendments, okay, it's just,
It's the bill is introduced.
Well, could I just, two
Yeah,
two
how
things.
low are
Number
we going?
one, so this is going to be consistent with what is in federal law, right? And number two, these contracts, unlike the big construction contracts, tend to be like $2,000 to $5,000 projects. So, but it's been narrowed. I mean, the bill as drafted is really, basically, we have prevailing wage for big construction projects. So HVAC, mechanical contracts, the same folks who are getting paid prevailing wage under the broader contract, if they go back a month later to do maintenance, the same folks on the same HVAC system are under current law. So anyway, this is bringing that kind of work consistency into the prevailing wage, but it's the $2,500 is federal law. So, I mean, in a nutshell, that's. Now, I would also note the only opposition was for MACO, and yet in the folder you'll see testimony from half of our counties who are already at the local level are doing the same thing. Montgomery's and Anne Arundel are moving forward with this very thing. In Baltimore County, Johnny Oshevsky sent a letter of support, so it's a weird thing where MACO is saying we're opposed, and yet the biggest counties in the state actually having local laws consistent with this. So this would align us with local jurisdictions, with federal law, and actually making some sense to bring these kind of service contracts into the fold on things that are already covered as part of the broader construction project. I don't know if that answers in a nutshell.
it does help to answer the question. I think the point you made about MACO is interesting. That's why I wanted to bring it up, is I know they were opposed, and was curious if we did anything to address that. You point out the larger counties already do it. Well, that's why the county structure is unique. You have a lot of smaller and more rural counties where the costs are, where there's just different pricing for things. There's less ability to do some of these kind of projects. So the more we do this, the harder we make it for them to take care of the things that they need. But that's fine. That's the difference here in the committee. And thanks for answering the question.
Okay, are we ready for the question? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, all right, we need to do a roll call.
Senate Bill 259 favorable. Senator Feldman? Aye. Senator Klausmeyer?
No. Yes.
Yes. Senator Benson?
Our county is for it.
Yes.
Johnny
Senator
O is
Kramer?
for it. Johnny
Yes.
O's on a lot of
Senator
support.
Reedy?
No, I said yes.
No.
No.
Senator Augustine?
Yes, I'll be in favor.
Yes. Senator Beidle? Yes. Senator Jennings? No. No. Madam Chair?
Yes,
Yes.
now what have we got?
Okay, you got Senate Bill 753. This bill establishes the Cybersecurity Workforce Accelerator Program at UMBC
What's that vote?
and the Cybersecurity Workforce Accelerator Fund, which would be administered by the program established at UMBC. The purpose of the fund is to support innovative approaches to meeting cybersecurity workforce needs. The program must work with stakeholders to increase the cybersecurity workforce through targeted investment and other ways to increase the workforce. The program must also work with Commerce and MDL to administer the accelerator program as necessary. You have a reprint in front of you with some amendments offered by Senator Hayes and the sponsor. Senator Hayes' amendment is first, and what Senator Hayes does is bring in an existing program called the Cyber Warrior Diversity Program, and it makes some modifications to that program. And the program would work with the Cybersecurity Association of Maryland, which is apparently a very popular group, and by identifying certification trends in information technology and expand the program to accommodate any changes to certification trends identified. It also would provide, and this is Senator Hayes' amendment regarding this particular program under MHEC, that all funds that would be in this would not revert to the general fund, but would stay with the program if they're unexpended. The next series of amendments starting on reprint, unnumbered page before page 2 of 6, these are amendments from the sponsor, and most of these are clarifying to the intent of the program. It specifies in UMBC that it would be the Maryland Institute for Innovative Computing that would be the actual entity to implement the program. It goes further to modify that, it modifies the purpose and adds diversity language to the program. The accelerator program will work again with the Cybersecurity Association of Maryland to accomplish its goals, and also add that Commerce and other major cybersecurity organizations should also help implement the program. If you go to page 3, you'll see that there are more modifications to the duties of the program. And page 4, there is a, this is where the fund is created. It's a special fund. And again, it makes modifications about who will be working with the program and who will be targeted. That's further down the page. And then you go to the page 5. This is where the significant changes are in the amendments. There was a series of mandated appropriations in the bill. These reduce, most of these amendments reduce the mandated and eliminate some of the mandated appropriations. It reduces the program, the amount for the fund to $1 million. And it does give $1 million to earn, that stays. But there was $1 million for the Maryland Apprenticeship and Training Program, but they don't really provide grants or anything, so I don't know what they would have done with that, so that's struck. 450 goes to UMBC to administer the program. And then there's a Cyber Warrior Diversity Program that is maintained at $250 million. $2.5 million. 200, no, yeah, that'd be a lot of money. Senator Hayes would be very happy. There'd be $500,000 for K through 12, and then there was $1 million for the University of Maryland to help develop cybersecurity scenarios. That's cut to $500,000. So various mandated appropriations are reduced to bring down the fiscal note. And on the last page, there's intent language that the Workforce Accelerator Program work with the Cybersecurity Association of Maryland and use talent pipeline management approach to codified by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And all of this is designed to increase the number of cybersecurity professionals in the state.
Okay, Senator Jennings?
Just a quick question on page 5, when you said you cut it from 2 million to 1 million.
Yeah.
But then when you get down to line 6, each fiscal year, the governor shall include in the annual budget an appropriation of, those numbers add up more than $1 million.
Did they forget to do that in the amendment?
I mean, because you got one amendment, or line 16, that's 2.5 million.
So where are you at? I'm not.
I mean, if I,
The 1 million is from the EARN program, period, I think.
is that, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's $1 million for earn in the bill, and the two significant reductions were the 1 million from the actual program established by the bill, and then the 1 million from the Maryland Apprenticeship and Training Fund, and then if you half the amount of money that goes to the University of Maryland system to $500,000 from $1 million.
Because I'm counting this up, I'm at 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. Yeah.
And is about a $9 million, and she halved it. And apparently, according to the sponsor, and there's money in the budget for some of these programs too. So
And are these for, the cyber world's changed, it's no longer necessarily about your education, it's about your certification. I mean, you go to a 4-year college, but unless you have a Net Plus or a Sec Plus, or that's what people want. Is this what this money's gonna go towards?
What is that?
They're just different certifications, they call them.
Need a 4-year degree?
Nope. Most of them you don't. You just need to have the talent to be able to go take a test. And that's what, when you look in the cyber world at all these jobs, that's what they're saying is, a lot of them are, they still say we'd like to have a 4-year degree, but mandatory, you gotta have a, some type of certification.
Look, we gotta get out of here. I gotta go get.
Depends
my
if you're,
test.
I'm in the cleared world, so it's a lot more. It's probably about, 120.
Sponsor might be able to answer some of those, whether, I don't see anything that would prohibit the ability to develop increase people with the certification to proceed in this,
Okay.
in this thing.
Okay. Could we get a motion?
I made a motion as amended.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded for the bill as amended. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous.
The last bill on your list is from Senator Klossmeyer. It makes modifications to the work participation and work requirements under the State Family Investment Program, which is the state welfare program, or used to be the state welfare program, now it's called Family Investment. And they implement the federal temporary assistance for needing families program. It requires Department of Human Services to allow an applicant or recipient in the FIP to meet work activity requirement through work experience and community service, and establishes minimum work activity hours for specified individuals. The bill is here because, according to testimony, that there was an over-reliance on community service, and the bill codifies a lot of federal work requirements for Family Investment Program. There were some amendments offered. The department had concerns that the reporting that was required under the bill could affect the work participation rates for the Family Investment Program, and that may not be good for the state. So all these additional work requirements, or reporting requirements to the federal government were struck from the bill, but a lot of the bill is retained regarding the use of work activities that would try to go beyond just having folks working in community service, which is unpaid. The idea here is to get more people out there with jobs that pay so they can get off TCA and stay off TCA. And learn a new trade. So the House has passed this bill with these same amendments, and it's on its way over here.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion and a discussion on the motion. Not all in favor, please raise your hand.
That's the other bill. I thought you wanted, your bill.
All right, let's deal with one bill at a time, okay? All right, so all right, was that unanimous? I think it was, okay. All right, I think that's it, so.
Chair, could I just clarify one thing? Just for Senator Reedy, I just wanted to, back on the prevailing wage bill. So just to be clear, that, this bill's only about state projects. There's no mandate on locals to do anything. I was just saying that Montgomery and others have done it at the local level. Your county is under no obligation to do this at the local level, just to clarify that point. There's nothing in this
Okay.
bill, so.
All right, so thanks very much, colleagues.